What is going on, me old gaming darlings? This is RyuGamer88 coming to you with, unfortunately, a bit of bad news. If you have been watching through the Silent Hill F playlist and you're expecting something for episode 15, unfortunately that episode has been cancelled. And the reason for that being is because as it was required from my computer to handle through requiring more space, and I was trying to clean up the files, the recording of what I did last night is, of course, unfortunately, it unfortunately got included with the whole storage space clear up, and I have completely lost the episode. And following with regards to the autosaves, it's not going to let me go as further back, and it will only be absolutely spoilt. So I really do apologise to you all. So ever so sorry for the disappointment on this. But I can say I can continue on through for what will be the straight on through for episode 16. But here is the lowdown for what happened during episode 15. So if you are wanting to know what the ins and outs are, then of course stay in for this video. But if you don't, because you want to work out for yourselves, then of course avoid watching this video now. So what's happened is that obviously you've started exploring through around Hinako's house, and of course what's occurred through is that every scene or room changes slightly, and this happens on occurrence for every puzzle completion that you do. Now, without going too much into detail so that the puzzling can be more fun than anything, you need to ensure that you've checked through all the rooms and make sure that you manage to first get a calendar for one of the walls that is just near the required door that you need to go through. Once you've gone through 3 different rooms, and of course they don't randomly go to which either one, it is all in sync. Now, per house that you go through, so I beg my pardon, for the 3 different houses, they're all each going to be different, each to their own. So of course when you've done with the 3rd house, it will revert back to the very first house version that you've originally entered through. And of course your main obstacle is to obviously collect 3 different crests that you need to open Hinako's room. And then of course, once you've managed to do that, you will then also come into a scene where Hinako is what looks like she's talking to herself, but it looks like she's seeing her sort of her other world version of herself. And things get a little bit grim in the conversation, and you can tell that it's like 2 of the same people, but obviously different spectrums, so it's like a bipolar conversation going on through. And then of course you then hear like sort of screaming and yelping through what is to be through another door. Now of course, to be able to go through that door, you need to pick up the pine tree emblem plate. And of course you do that from once you've managed to confront your other Hinako person in conversation. Spoiler alert, when it comes to this matter, when you go through, after putting that pine tree emblem plate through that other door, you then come across through 3 hanged dead people. Literally 3. And that will be Shu, Sakuko, sorry, beg my pardon, Sakuko. Keep getting that name wrong. Sakuko, and then of course the 3rd person being Rinko. Now, and they've all done in hanging, but you notice that there's 3 different outcomes of the deaths. Shu was originally from the hanging from the other world. The same thing to be said about Sakuko. However, Rinko is all burnt up. And the reason why she's all burnt up through is that because of the other world that you remember from one of the main halls, is that you had to drop her through a lava pool while she was caged in. And so I still have my doubts whether they are real or whether these are like just the spirited versions because of the fact that she's alluding to that. But however, there's more people that you confront. And of course, it is, Hinako's parents. So, of course, and this will then trigger into a boss fight. And what my suggestion is that before you approach Hinako's room and everything else, reserve your heavy items as much as you can. Whilst at the same time, if you've got any health items that you've collected through, just use the red tablets and any of the lighter health items. You really do want to stock up your first aids and your bandages, purely for the fact that the boss fight can be quite trickisome, because you've got Hinako's dad that turns out to be one of the massive round flower monsters with the sword blade, which was originally from a kitchen knife that he had, but it morphs into his arm for a blade. And then of course you've got Hinako's mum, who is like one of the what looks like one of the school scarecrow kids, but more obviously a more adult version. And of course you're better off of trying to attack Hinako's mum first, because she will be an absolute pain if you try to attack Hinako's father first. So get rid of Hinako's mother out of the way first, and then go for Hinako's father. Once that cuts to a scene, after defeating them both, you realise that a lot of the flesh of what was a burden onto them comes off naturally peeled through as they walk away. And of course, Hinako, looking tiresome, she sees them walking away, then gets off of her 2 feet, runs after them. And then what has happened is that Hinako hears screams and then is confronted what is the fog monster, and it looks like the massive... I'm trying to think of the actual monster name in Japanese... in the myths and legends, is that it's the massive 9'5" white, what looks like one of the 9'5" white wedding monsters. That's what it looks like, but her face is completely cut. You don't see her eyes, you don't see her mouth. It's a completely flesh cut. But, however, you see her, what looks like she's holding Hinako's father and Hinako's mum, each one in their own in her hand, and of course, it looks like she's hung them or crushed them, but you don't get to see a full glimpse because of the gore content that they follow through, because it then quickly turns over to Hinako looking absolutely shocked and absolutely horrified, and then of course the monster is then gone. So of course you're then tasked to continue on, but however you're then fallen asleep into the other world. So of course this is where we all are at. I once again, I truly apologise for the cancellation of episode 15, but I hope that this conversation briefly makes up for it without giving too much spoilers. So I appreciate your time on understanding this, and of course I wish you all the best, and I hope you enjoy the remaining other episodes that we've got for this playlist. So see you later, me old darlings.